Right, order. No more chuckling from you. They were fine words, I'll have you know. Right, back to Europe. No crashing out, as we said. Manchester United tonight, they qualified with a game to spare.
Yeah,
but with Juventus losing, unsurprisingly, was that a missed opportunity tonight?
Look, you always want to finish top of your group. It does help, even though you could say, look, the quality of the teams that are left in it are all very dangerous, but finishing top, like I said, does help. But I didn't see that. I've got to be honest, if I would have been Manchester United, especially with the Liverpool game coming Sunday, Juventus then going to Young Boys, I didn't see Juventus slipping up, I really didn't. So is it a missed opportunity? Yes, it is, because you had the opportunity of finishing top and you always want to finish top. But yeah, they've qualified. I think that's a good achievement for Manchester United, where they are and how they're playing at this present moment.
Is it difficult, Stuart, if you've already qualified with a game to spare, going into the game, and also, as Craig said, anybody foresaw Juventus losing tonight. Is it difficult to have that mentality, got to win tonight so we win the group? Because it was highly improbable.
I think it is. I think there's a couple of stories there. Firstly, United, I think the Champions League's been the salvation of their season so far, because their domestic form's been really awful. The other side of that is, listen, they're out the group, they've qualified, he's made some changes from the weekend, and I think there'll be one or two players in the United ranks think, well, I'm only playing tonight because there's a big game and he's rested a couple. So if you're 5% off it in this standard of football in the Champions League, you're going to get beat.
Not for the first time, ahead of the tie, Paul Pogba was under scrutiny. Again, not for the first time, Jose Mourinho bristled when he was asked about him and his performance. Bear in mind, there are places up for grabs on Sunday. What did you both make of Pogba's performance tonight?
I have to be honest, I felt he was poor again tonight. I would say the same. Like, I'm sort of a big fan of Mata, but I feel off the ball he doesn't offer you, or doesn't offer a team like Manchester United or what Mourinho looks for in a team enough. But if we want to go back to the Pogba situation, he isn't getting the best out of Pogba, that is clear. But also, there looks like a lack of interest from Pogba today would concern me. He looked like, if you're a top player, which we all believe he is, I'm not sure I believe is as good as what a lot of people make out. But going off today is just... That concerned me a little bit, because you've got a massive game now on Sunday. You know, these games, Liverpool, Manchester United, are the biggest games in the Premier League. That's the biggest game. The two most salary, you know, they've won the most trophies. The rivalry is an incredible fixture. If you're Mourinho, I feel after his performance today, it'd be very difficult to say, well, now I've got to play you. I feel you have to leave him out again. It's, you know, usually those performances gives you an opportunity then to say, well, do you know what? Well played. I actually, I could use you Sunday. But going off the back of his performance today, for a player who's used to playing in the big games, because of course he's won a World Cup, which we all get reminded of every time we talk about Pogba. He's a World Cup winner. Don't get me wrong. He was around one or two very, very good players around him to help him win that. He didn't win it on his own, but at the same time, I just don't know what's happening with him at the moment. He doesn't look like a player who's improving. I think, if anything, he's gone backwards.
Lacklustre would probably be a word I'd use, looking at his performances. I mean, we were watching him off ball, if you like, you know, and there was no sort of intensity to his play at all. No, I've got to break a gut to get back into position. No, I'm going to sniff danger, or break a gut to get forward and support my attackers. And I think, if we just look at him in isolation, I'm not sure where he knows his game is at the moment. Let's take Mourinho out the equation and the dynamics between the pair of them. I'm looking at a player now, and I've covered him probably 4, 5, 6 times this season, and I'm looking at a player who looks devoid of interest in the game, which I find quite sad, because he's oozing ability.
He is oozing ability, but there's...
What about commitment?
Look, I don't know him personally, or I don't know him well enough. I certainly don't see him in training to be able to say that. But I just look at his game. You pick it up in areas where anyone could pick it up. You're picking it up from centre-halves or full-backs from 2 yards away, then hear it maybe a little diag, then jog over to that side. And I don't know what type of midfielder he is. When I seen him playing his best football, he was playing left side of a free up top with Juventus. That's when he was. This is the Pogba who went from Manchester United on a free to Juventus, and it was highlighted. Obviously, he went on a free and they've missed out, and they've had to buy him back because his form was impressive then. And when I've seen him play for France, he was definitely impressive in a lot of the friendlies, but also the qualifying campaign. In the World Cup, I thought he was disciplined. Kante, they were very counter-attacking with the pace of Mbappe as well. I can completely understand that. Why wouldn't you be? Because your threat is going forward with Pearce and Griezmann being able to drop off. They have a lot of talent. But I wasn't over. There was periods, especially when they talk about the final. While he played in the final, he scored a goal. He didn't play well. Modric took him to the cleaners that game.
But I don't think I looked at any of his performances in the summer playing for France and could attach the word lacklustre to any of those performances.
I agree with that.
That's the one thing you can't. I think, he generally, whether he played
his
well,
role as well.
Exactly, and there was some energy to his play and whatever. There's something just not right there.
Are we talking about a player who's off the pace at the moment, not just in terms of his game, but in terms of the whole team? Forget the fact it's Paul Pogba. From what you saw tonight, is that just not acceptable by any player on the pitch? The amount of either ground he covered or workload that he got through?
Well, the stats will probably, my eye tells me that I don't see a lot of dynamic runs.
That's the
in
key
his play.
to it. You'll see overall distance, he'll probably look like he's done quite a lot.
Yeah, because he can go from one side to the other. There's no real intensity to his play, either going that way or going that way. And I almost think... I hate to see players not fulfilling their potential, whatever nationality they are. If they're English players, even more so from my point of view, but certainly anybody that comes and plays in the Premier League, all we ask, fulfil your potential. And that's the most damning thing if you don't do that for any period of time.
Yeah. OK, with Manchester City winning tonight, they only needed a draw. They topped their group.
Yeah.
So, therefore, would we say that they have had the most impressive campaign of the 4 English clubs? Or is that too simplistic?
No, they've sort of made hard work of it as well at times. It hasn't been anywhere near... All right, they lost on Saturday, but due to their impressive league form, they haven't been as convincing as what we've seen over the last previous months. But I'm quite... I enjoyed watching Spurs, even though it was... they made hard work of qualifying and just about got into it. But I felt the way they performed... They deserve more points. I was quite impressed with Spurs in this Champions League campaign, and I'm glad they've gone through because, along with Barcelona, they're the best 2 teams in the group. Liverpool, surprisingly, due to their brilliant league form, again, away from home, like the Red Star Belgrade one, took us all by surprise. Yep. Didn't see that happening, and, credit to Red Star, but that wasn't... it looks like they've left their worst performances for the Champions League. Especially away from
Lost
home.
All 3.
Even at times, I thought at PSG, I thought they played quite well, but just that final third wasn't like the Liverpool we've seen over the last few years. But now when you get into the knockout stage, so many of these teams, like a Liverpool, Manchester United will be dangerous. Manchester United will be dangerous in the knockout stage due to their tradition, due to their manager. Liverpool will definitely be the same way. There's a lot of teams now who have pedigree, who are used to this competition, who are used to getting to the later stages. And there'll be a few teams looking at this saying, this could be our year.
Well, let's have another look, Stuart, at the contenders, the runners-rise. We know the last 16 now.
Yeah.
OK, out of the 4 English clubs, Manchester City are clear favourites to win the Champions League. Do you go along with that?
No.
Out of those 4 for a start?
No. I would put Liverpool above them because I think Liverpool have started the season OK, but there's more to come. And they look to me as though they're a team just about to turn the heat up a little bit and come into goal-scoring form and whatever. For me, I would put Liverpool above City as favourites, or not potential favourites, but as English clubs being favourites for the Champions League. I really would.
Craig, you were in the last English team to go Camp Nou and get a victory. Tottenham didn't get a victory, but they got the all-important point, and with Inter not doing the job either at home. How impressive a performance was that for you? And also, what will that give them going into the knockout stage,
Look,
the manner in which they qualified.
The manner in which they qualified. Look, it wasn't the Barcelona team that, you know, they've already qualified, they've won the group, so they have every right to rest players. It was, you know, Messi came on and they didn't have the best, say, for instance, Barcelona team that, you know, that we see, but they still had a very good squad.
Certainly wasn't the C team, was it?
Listen,
credit where credit's due.
A talented squad,
Yeah.
Still had incredible players, but it was the manner of the way Spurs went there. You know, you would have thought of it at the start of the game. They needed to win because you didn't see Inter. As PSV have done well in the group, they certainly haven't been overall by the teams that they've faced. PSV have definitely held their own in this group. But I still expected Inter Milan to win, especially at home.
So what does that give Spurs then in the knockout stage? The manner of it?
It's just, you know, I look at Spurs and just say, well, you know, it's the second year now they've qualified for the knockout stages. I was impressed with them last year, you know, against Juventus. I thought they were incredible. But at the same, you know, it was just that Juventus were just streetwise, especially at Wembley. But I thought over the two games, Spurs were better. I just look at it as just another progression for Spurs. They've got to the knockout stages again. Can they then get through the next round? And it's just another good experience for this young, exciting Spurs team. But also the way they're going forward, they're just building again. It's just another year with more experience under their belt.
Also, as well,
as a club in Champions League, not as players.
Absolutely. Is this the time that the Spanish hold on this competition? Well, it's long overdue.
Real Madrid's hold's got to go. It's got to be. They are not. They are not.
Could
the
those
same.
words come back to haunt you?
I'm sure I said the same last year, but like I said, with Ronaldo, anything can happen. It's good. Look, I would. You can never rule them out. Are you discounting them now? I have to discount them. I just don't believe. Just going off their league form, they've been nowhere near the same team.
Why it last 3 times?
Barring fatigue, I think the strength in this competition lies in England. I really
agree.
do, honestly. I must disagree with Craig on the Manchester United one. Whilst I respect their manager's ability in regard pedigree at this level, I've not seen anything from United, and I think they've been very fortunate in the draw that they had in the Champions League as well to get out of the group.
So if you look at the 4 teams, they've got to the next stage, the knockout stage. If you now add strength or depth of squad, plus experience of manager, plus the history of the club, who's favourite out of the 4?
Do you want to go in an order?
Yep.
I'd go Liverpool, then I'd go Manchester City, then I would go Manchester United, then Spurs.
I think Spurs, the one good thing Spurs have got, they've got no pressure on them as a club.
Yeah.
I think, like Craig said, there's a building process in place at Tottenham, and every time they qualify for the knockout stages at this moment in time, it's another building block in Tottenham's empire that's growing. For me, Liverpool are the ones. I think there's more pressure on Manchester City than there is Liverpool. I don't know why I say that, but I just feel there is. And you've got to bear in mind, Liverpool got to the final last year. Yeah. They were only a goalkeeping performance away from potentially winning the Champions League.
Yeah. And Klopp's been there twice as well himself. Which leads me very nicely to the next point. So on the basis that there'll be more pressure on Manchester City for the Champions League, is that the very reason why the team who currently sit top of the Premier League are not the bookies' favourite to win the Premier League? Why is it that Manchester City are overwhelming favourites ahead of Liverpool?
Just due to the form of the team over the last 2 seasons. Overall in the league, the manager, I believe, is the best manager in the world. Just, you know, you watch him, the excitement you get from him. I think from afar, I think anyone would look at him and say, you know, this team's most talented team in Europe. That's what I would look at from the start.
This is Liverpool's best ever start to a league season.
I would be happy for Man City to go all out and win the Champions League. I really would. And it maybe might take their eye off the league and Liverpool then go and win the league. It's more important, and I know listen, no manager would agree with this. Nope. It's more important that Liverpool win that league. For any Liverpool supporter who want to see that league.
I think Man City losing to Lyon in the first group stage was a massive wake-up call for them. I worried about City in the summer, complacency creeping into their play. It was a cakewalk, the Premier League, for them last year. Whether they thought they were going to just roll out there and knock teams over, and I think the game against Lyon was a real, woof, hang on, we're going to have to play at full tilt every game, and I think Pep learnt a lot from that game. I look back to that game and I think it sharpened their focus, but I still feel as though, I said in the summer, Liverpool I felt would win the Premier League this year, and I still feel as though Liverpool might potentially go further in the Champions League than Man City.
What are the improvements you've seen then in Liverpool this season that makes you think that? Because it's been an awfully long wait, since 1990.
Yeah.
What's different? We know they're conceding less goals this season.
Yeah.
We know they're playing in a different fashion. But what has convinced you of the change?
It's probably exactly what you've just mentioned there. The goalkeeper and Van Dijk have added something special to that team, a solidity at the back. I think Joe Gomez is developing. Obviously, he's got an injury now. He's developing into, I think he'll develop into a world-class central defender. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And they've also got a squad of players where he's dipping them in and dipping them out. Shaqiri plays his part. Sturridge will throw on and get a goal, and then you won't see him for 3-4 games, you know. And he's just utilising the squad nicely.
And he's
there.
got more of a squad than what Jurgen Klopp's had over the last couple of seasons. Van Dijk has just been incredible. And the goalkeeper was key. You know, look, they broke the record on a defender, broke the record on a goalkeeper. So they were two key areas, and they needed addressing. And credit to Liverpool Football Club, credit to the manager. They by the club giving him the money to be able to spend to bring these type of players in, and the manager identifying the type of players he wanted into the club. So that has clearly made him stronger defensively, because going forward there has been no concerns with this team. But we always, you know, watching Liverpool defensively, goalkeeper-wise, maybe a defensive midfielder, they were always just that little touch short. But the form of Robertson has been incredible. But I also think having that central defender, like it is with the presence of Van Dijk, lifts confidence around, you know, and you've got a goalkeeper who's sure. So I think Robertson's, you know, incredible. He's definitely improved. But then, you know, Trent Alexander, Gomez is, I knew he was good. I've always liked him, but just how assured he is this season. It's a shame he's injured, but he will come back strong. I like the game against Napoli. Firmino went back into central. I believe he's better there as a centre forward. Salah just a little bit over to the right hand side. I'm not as keen as when he goes into the central area. And there's times he will find himself there, but because they do rotate a lot.
Other than the obvious, as in how many games into the league and the position, what will it take, do you think, for you to be convinced that Liverpool could win the title ahead of Manchester City?
I don't believe it'll happen. This Manchester City team's too good.
I mean that in itself, it's a fantastic battle we're watching, isn't it? It just shows how Liverpool good are right now, as we know. There's no trophies handed out pre-Christmas, but to be toe-to-toe with them where they are right now, it is a huge leap. It's about how long they can sustain it. I
almost disagree with your statement there, Jeff, saying how good Liverpool are. I don't think Liverpool have hit the form.
No, not quite yet.
No. I think they're where they are now.
Defensively, because they've been sound.
7 and 8 out of 10. I still think they haven't hit the 9s and 10s that they did last year. That would be the worrying thing for me, for the other sides in and around them.
We talk about Liverpool and how they've improved, but how much is it? Going back to your original point, Manchester City haven't won the Champions League, and in the lifetime of all of this Liverpool squad, they haven't won the league, Premier League or the old First Division, as it was. How much will that be a factor in both campaigns?
The biggest factor you'll have is if you're going to chase both competitions, you know, your March time and you're chasing both, whether you lose an injury to Van Dijk, the goalkeeper, Salah, one of your criticals, if I could sit here now and say that those three individuals will stay fully fit.
Yeah.
The others you can mix and match a little bit, you know, in some ways. Those three, in my opinion, are almost non-negotiable for what Liverpool are and what they stand for.
And the reason I say, you know, Man City is they've played this season without their best player. De Bruyne. They've got him to come back as well. And just with the players they have, the squad they have, they can get away with one or two players, their best players being injured, and it still won't affect their squad as much. Where I do believe with Liverpool, Salah got injured, even Mane, definitely across the back line. Say the goalkeeper got injured. They're one or two players away from it. Can happen then. Where Manchester City, I don't believe, will be in that position.